Have you ever noticed how difficult silence feels? Not music, not podcasts, not TikTok, just silence. No distractions, no notifications, no background noise, just you and your thoughts. Most people can't handle it for very long. In fact, researchers found that some people would rather give themselves electric shocks than sit alone in silence for 15 minutes. So why? Why does silence make humans uncomfortable? The answer begins hundreds of thousands of years ago, long before cities, phones, or even language itself. Because for your ancestors, silence didn't mean peace, silence meant danger. Imagine yourself standing alone in the African savannah 200,000 years ago. No streetlights, no walls, no weapons powerful enough to protect you. Just darkness and silence. At first, silence sounds peaceful to modern humans, but to early humans, silence was terrifying because the jungle was never truly quiet. There were always sounds, insects, whine movement, distant animals, and when those sounds suddenly stopped, something was wrong. Predators change the sound of nature. Birds stop singing. Animals freeze. The environment becomes still. For early humans, silence often meant one thing. Something nearby wanted to kill you, and over thousands of generations, the human brain adapted to fear it. Your nervous system became trained to scan silence for threats. Even today, your brain constantly searches for movement sound stimulation because deep down, your brain still thinks you are prey. This may explain something strange about modern life. Humans almost never allow themselves to experience silence anymore. The moment silence appears, we destroy it. We open TikTok, we play music, we turn on the TV, we scroll endlessly through short videos, even while eating, walking, or falling asleep. But this isn't just entertainment. It may be psychological self-defense. Because silence forces the brain to do something modern humans try desperately to avoid: thinking. When external stimulation disappears, the brain activates something called the default mode network. This is the system linked to self-reflection, memory regret, imagination, existential thinking. In other words, silence forces you to meet yourself. And many people don't like what they find there. But something changed human history forever. Fire. Roughly 1 million years ago, humans learned to control it, and fire did more than provide warmth. It created the first safe space in human history. A campfire forms a small circle of protection. Outside the fire, darkness, predators, uncertainty. Inside the fire, safety, conversation, storytelling. And for the first time, humans could stay awake after sunset without constant fear. Anthropologists believe these nighttime hours transformed our species. Around the fire, humans began doing things no other animal does: telling stories, imagining the future, discussing people who weren't present, creating myths, questioning existence itself. Silence was no longer only fear. Now silence became imagination. The firelight created a strange psychological space between danger and safety. And inside that space, human consciousness expanded. But modern humans live very differently from their ancestors. For most of human history, silence was unavoidable. Today, silence has almost disappeared completely. The average person now consumes hours of digital stimulation every single day. Your brain rarely gets a moment of true stillness. And scientists are beginning to notice the consequences. Studies show that constant stimulation may increase anxiety, reduce attention span, weaken deep thinking, damage creativity. Because creativity often emerges during quiet moments. Not when consuming information, but when sitting alone with your own thoughts. Some of humanity's greatest ideas were born in silence. But modern humans are becoming increasingly uncomfortable with being alone inside their own minds. And that may be changing us psychologically in ways we still don't fully understand. But maybe the deepest reason humans fear silence has nothing to do with predators at all. Maybe silence scares us because silence removes distraction. And without distraction, we become aware of ourselves, your goals, your regrets, your mortality. In silence, the human mind begins asking dangerous questions. Who am I? Am I happy? What am I doing with my life? This may be why humans throughout history filled silence with stories, religion, music, rituals, conversation, not just to entertain themselves, but to protect themselves from the terrifying weight of consciousness. Because humans are one of the few creatures aware that they exist, and silence makes that awareness louder. Tonight, before you sleep, try something strange. Turn everything off. No music, no phone, no videos. Just sit in silence for a few minutes and pay attention to how quickly your brain reaches for distraction, because that reaction was shaped by hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. Your ancestors feared silence because it could hide predators in the dark. Modern humans fear silence for a different reason, because in silence, there is nowhere left to hide from yourself.